Hello, Chloe Kim.
Hello, Toby.
So good to see you.
Good to see you too.
um, I've never done one of a Zoom version of these podcast thingies, and so
Yes.
this is probably going to be a slightly funny experience. But the what do you call it? The reception seems
Weather.
really good and everything. Like
Yeah.
lag and stuff, which is pretty crazy. We'll see how
Yeah, that's good.
Well, maybe I could start by asking you to tell me a bit about yourself. Who is Chloe Kim?
Sure. Chloe Kim is a drummer / percussionist. Born in Korea, based in Sydney, working as a musician, but also as a teacher, and a multi-friends to a lot of people.
Including me.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, great. And I guess maybe you could tell, just in case people listen to this. I don't know how many people listen to this, but just in case people listening who would want to know a bit more about like what sort of like genre of music, what kind of approach you have, just in abstract, and we can get deeper into it. But yeah, what sort of a world of music are you from?
Well, I was originally studying jazz drumming at the Sydney Conservatorium. But the more I studied the quote-unquote genre jazz, I realized the weakness and lack of my skills on my instrument, drum set. So to be honest, I would say I've been actually spending time figuring that out rather than the style of music for a long time. But I did find jazz and improvisation music most of the time is an environment where I could perform drumming that is based on the fundamental practice I would do in my own practice room. So yeah, that would be my main sort of streams of style of music I play. But I also love playing contemporary music. I love listening to all sorts of different music. But I also have a deep attachment to the Korean traditional music and drumming because that's where I'm from. And I was fortunate to have Simon Barker as my teacher, who has this long interaction with Korean traditional musicians and drumming. So yeah, I learned that, and I love listening and playing some of the rhythms from there as well.
Cool. I feel like that's a really good summary.
Thank you.
And also, I found that what was I going to say? I used to have a list of questions. In my first few ones, this is only the fourth interview I've done, but
I see.
I got rid of the list so that we could be a bit more fluid, or I can be a bit more present and not be like this. And
absolutely.
And better. But yeah, feel free to it's a conversation, so you can always ask questions back, that kind of thing.
All right.
I got another one, which is just how you got into music, I guess. What did your sort of early
always love talking about this part because I definitely just grew up in such a kind of a wholesome family where we really loved just listening to every types of music all the time. But my earliest encounter of musical instrument was piano and violin.
Right. I didn't know that.
Yeah. At the age of maybe, say, 8 years old, which now I'm a teacher myself and having to teach a lot of different age groups, I realized there are a lot of kids starting way earlier than I did. I've got some of 3-4 years old students as well.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
I got a couple of those too, and it's pretty crazy teaching them music because I got a student, for example, he can't recite the alphabet yet. He's 4.
Oh.
Like he's still figuring out some nuts and bolts that make it really hard to explain any like conceptual framework about music to him. And yeah, it's pretty intense. So I think 4 is sometimes quite early to start, but we have a lot of fun, and he's definitely musical. Like he has a lot of fun.
That's right.
Sorry, please go on.
No, totally. I love teaching them. This is a different subject, but I let them know that it's actually a party so that they can come and have fun with me. And we literally come up with whatever, say animals or whatever they did on the weekends, and we come up with a quote unquote improvised composition. But that's such a hard term for them. So I just call it as a party. And we, talk about our dreams from the night before and come up with a composition based on that. But yeah, most of the time it's just about them learning how to drop their arms properly on the kit, which kids are very good at doing, more than the adults.
And want to help.
Yeah, that's right. And then they're so much more creative than, myself. So
I get that.
Yeah. And I think for me, I was fortunate to have those sort of early experiences just with my family, and seeing a lot of different concerts and musicals. But yes, when I did pick up the actual instrument, I was 8 years old, and I did some classical music training for a long time, and then I picked up drum kit when I was 10 years old.
Still early, yeah.
Yeah, and I normally just played them every Sunday at church, so it was a great opportunity for me to not have a proper teacher for about another 7-8 years.
Right.
But just
jump in on the kit and just have a go.
Yeah.
Is that kind of what happened?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes, and and also some of my church friends and ministers every now and then would walk past and show me one thing, and I'll practice that for a month.
That's amazing. And that's
and then I would.
Go on. Sorry, go on, please.
Yeah, no. Sorry, I would just play backbeat, nothing else.
Which is it's a great thing to learn to play well. Yeah. That's huge. And it sounds like, I don't know, listening to like, I don't know, just a lot of drummers I like from the US seem to have grown up playing in church situations, a bit like that. They didn't really have a teacher, but people would kind of, show them a thing or two here and there, and it just worked. And I think that is such a great way, just playing with people.
Yes.
Yeah. I definitely only really started getting into music once I was playing with bands and stuff. That's when it got exciting.
Yeah.
Wow. So, okay. 10 years old, you start playing in church. And then how did you get here?
I moved to Canberra in 2012.
Wow. Where were you before that?
I was in Seoul, Korea. So I was 15 years old when I moved. And there was this period of time where I first moved and there was no access to drum kit, because this was before I started going to like high school. I was at the second English as a second language sort of college for 6 months.
What's that? I grew up in Canberra as well. So where is that? What is that called?
That is at Dixon College. This program called a sorry, I forgot.
Good for them. Yeah, it's just nice to like locate because I know that place. Yeah, okay, you did this?
Yeah, and so I quite vividly still remember that I had about 8 months off playing drums, and it was really difficult, and it made me emotionally like really almost sad and depressing.
Wow.
So I was just thinking, all I need is a drum kit.
Yeah, geez. What a feeling.
So maybe unconsciously then I thought, okay, it is actually a huge part of my life.
Yeah, right. That maybe when it started to register. It's like you don't know what you got till it's gone. That type of thing.
That's right. Yes. So then when I properly started high school at Telopia Park High School, I was fortunate to meet an amazing teacher, and he introduced me to the jazz band because there were either jazz band or an like classical orchestra that I could sign up for. And for the drum kit, I thought, yeah, I'll just go to jazz band, even though I don't know what jazz means.
I did the same thing on trumpet at that very same school.
Yeah. There you go.
Teacher, just out of interest. Maybe they
Mr. Clements.
Mr.
Robert
Clements. Yeah. Oh, he was
yeah. Shout out to Mr. Clements. He, at the first gig I've ever done, called me a heaven sent drummer. And that I never forget.
Wow. Yeah, that is something to never forget. If you're ever feeling down, you can remember that day.
That's right. Yep. Yeah, and then that led me to have really tight jazz friends, and therefore signing up for this ANU School of Music pre-uni program in jazz.
The type
and
1?
There I met, yes, type 1 jazz course. And I met my first drum teacher, Mark Sutton.
Right.
Mm.
Shout out to him too.
Yeah, very nice.
Sorry, please go.
No. Love that we have great connections. I think, Canberra.
How much of the same trajectory we shared. Anyway, yeah, I guess.
Absolutely, yeah. Yep. And I mean, jazz community in Canberra, once you're in. And they look after each other, really support each other's music. And although it's a small scene, it's very tight and strong.
That's lovely. Yeah, that was my experience. That was my experience too, although I didn't really ever get into the jazz scene. You know, I did the type 1 course only for a year, I think. I dropped out halfway through. And and so I haven't seen the inside of the jazz world that much. And so it's nice to know that they're like that.
Yes. Totally. And then at the end of year 12, I think maybe 2 months before the audition at the Sydney Con, I heard about the con for the first time because some of my friends were auditioning for them. And I asked, hey, good luck, but what is that place? And there were many kind friends whom explained it to me, who are now active musicians based in mostly Melbourne.
Interesting.
Yeah, and then I said, I will also go for it. And then I am here now.
Woo! Good choice.
Thank you.
Do you reckon? Yeah. Do you have any?
Of course.
Yeah,
it's a life-changing.
Sorry. Please continue.
No, all good.
I guess, I'm going to be quiet now.
No, you go, please.
You can answer this question after you've finished your thing. I was just wondering, if you have any regrets or just comparisons between Melbourne and Sydney and what your friends who went to Melbourne did that you couldn't, or vice versa.
Yeah, I definitely think, I loved that I got into the conservatorium, but I actually didn't know anyone in Sydney, maybe apart from like one person when I came. And so I still talk about this all the time, how sad I was. And the first time moving out of house, I was, in Sydney by my own.
Right, yeah, that's huge.
Yeah, and knowing no one. So I struggled for the first year, and especially first few weeks at the con, not knowing anyone. That time, I think I was hoping, I wish I was in Melbourne with the friends that I already know. And hearing all these awesome scenes happening in Melbourne, I thought, maybe there isn't much happening in Sydney. Maybe this was not the best option But just within a few months, all my thoughts have changed. I met my, lifelong friends and mentors, and realized how tight Sydney scene is. And there are actually a lot of active musical activities happening.
Mm.
So, yeah, no, never since that point, since the realization, never regretted, but appreciate what I have here, but appreciate the fact that I could visit Melbourne all the time.
Yeah. Although
Yeah.
right now it's a bit hard.
Yeah, I know.
But
It's very sad. Yeah.
yeah, that's lovely. Yeah, yeah, and I've had a similar experience, I guess, later in life, because I did my degree in Melbourne, and I think I knew some people who were moving, but I didn't moving to Melbourne from Canberra, but I didn't actually see them. So I had a fairly similar experience of being like on my own, kind of trying to make friends and not really knowing anything about the music scene, especially because there weren't any musical friends who lived there. And yeah, having moved to Sydney way later, like 5 years after that, or 6, I find the Sydney music scene's like just a total thrill, and there's so much exciting stuff going on, because I found in Melbourne it was maybe it was just I didn't know the right people, but I could only find like a little bit of exciting music. It was there for sure, but I'm not sure I broke in, something like that. And then I moved to Sydney, and because I had a couple of friends who were part of the scene that I guess you and I both are part of, the world just seemed to open up into like this crazy musical world. There are gigs practically every night that were amazing.
Yes. Yes.
Wow, Sydney's got it going on.
That's right. That's right.
Cool. Well, that kind of does that tie you all the way up to where we are? Is there anything in between? I guess getting here, you had the rest of your degree, and then did you have a year off or go straight into more study?
Yeah, I went straight into masters, and I received an offer to start teaching at the drum course from this year. I don't think I told you this yet. Yeah, because it's a very recent news. Yeah.
Wow.
Thank you.
Congrats. Sorry. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Yeah. So I'll be teaching at the con now as well.
Wow. And are you still studying, or did you finish that last? Yeah, you got.
No, this is my last year. Yes, it's the second year of master's degree, and I'll be done with the thesis by the end of this year. And yes.
Wow. Huge. Exciting life. What's your thesis about?
It's about. No, I love talking about it.
Oh.
But every time I talk about it, it's slightly different because I'm trying to, in my head, summarize it.
Yeah, that's great though. Great process.
Briefly, but precisely. Yeah. So basically, it started from this one Korean traditional rhythm that I loved listening to and playing. It's called Pimori, and it's in 4/4 time signature, very fast combinations of different eighth notes, low notes and high notes. And after learning that, it somehow helped me to play much more confidently and smoothly on the drum kit of eighth notes.
Right. Wow. I guess getting like some dynamism into the eighth notes would. Is there any? It's cool if this isn't possible, but is there any way you can like scat or tap an example of this rhythm?
Goes 1, 2, 3, 4. Kung tap, kung tap, kung tap tap kung tap kung. Kung is the low note, and the ta is the high pitch sound, and then it goes kung tap tap kung tap kung tap kung kung. Kung.
Wow, you cut out a tiny bit for me near the end, so I'm glad you're recording this on your phone or your end. Wow. Yeah, that's super cool. And yeah, what follows from this with your thesis?
Yeah, so that was the first emergence of the research, and I realized by utilizing this rhythm, I will be able to solve the problem that I have been having on a drum kit, which is finding difficult to play eighth notes combinations non-stop.
Yeah, right.
So I figured out some of the cycles and methodologies that works really well for me. And so thesis will explain that process in a very high detail, and some of the system that I came up with, which demonstrates the decision-making process. So when I made this certain decision and why that was, and why there were decisions that I denied to make. And again, what was the reason for that?
Wow, that's intense. That kind of
And the
sorry. Yeah.
no, that's fine. So the outcome of it will not only be the drum solo music that represents all that process, but composition and improvisational aspects into it, as well as some of the ensemble recordings that I do utilize that whole process, but also the process itself demonstration will be another outcome of my research.
Cool. Maybe I can go and see that.
Yes, yes, please.
Huge. That kind of, yeah, that brings me, I asked Alice if there were any questions she wanted to hear you answer, kind of thing.
Yeah.
One of the things she asked was kind of about what you're aiming at when you improvise, and whether, because I've definitely heard Simon Barker talk about kind of entering a flow state or something when he plays, and lots of improvisers talk about this kind of thing. And I was wondering, yeah, well, actually, no, her question, almost word for word, at least getting the gist of it, is like, how do you negotiate between like sort of technical, like cerebral type thinking of thinking about, I mean, you're doing a whole thesis on this process, and so you're thinking quite specifically about it, and then how do you negotiate that between that and something more intuitive like flow, if that's something you juggle?
Yes. I think earlier experiences in the improvisation settings, I definitely had more focus towards I'm going to play what I've been practicing. And that was a very organic decision because I actually didn't have much improvisational language in my body back then. So it made sense to do that. But now that I've had some years doing it, I know that when I try to present the technique, what I've been practicing, that hasn't fully digested in my body yet, it's just going to disturb the flow. So maybe in head,
I'm listening. Sorry.
yeah, that's okay. Maybe in head I am maybe unconsciously or consciously thinking about things that have been sticking in my head at the recent times, but not necessarily making the movement.
Right.
Unless I know exactly what I'm doing and unless there's intention to it. Because, yeah, I do also appreciate when the music has beautiful phrasing and precision to it and a dynamical flow. So if I'm not contributing anything, if not letting it stay the still, I tend to deny actions.
Interesting. That's a really
But
interesting.
it happens very quickly. So yes, I have to be brave to make a certain statement. And I also have to be brave to not make a certain statement.
Not overplay. Yeah. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, that sort of also answered another question I wanted to ask, which was kind of just what you look for in music. Like, yeah, it's a kind of a similar question in a way, but yeah, what are you looking for when you're playing? If you have like an aim that can be put into a few words, yeah,
Mm,
what are you looking for? And then also, what are you looking for when you listen to music? And you were talking about, yeah,
mm,
beautiful phrasing
mm,
and stuff, which is it's not something everyone would say, you know. Like, I mean, yeah.
mm.
Anyway, yeah. What do you look for in music?
I think fun. I'm definitely looking for fun. No matter, if it is in major fun, major sort of area fun, or minor chord sort of area fun,
Mm,
as long as it's still a live, fun interaction, not only between yourself, within yourself, but between the other musicians. Um, that's mainly what I'm looking for.
mm-hmm. That's correct.
Um, I'm also looking for the level of concentration. Um, no matter how simple the statement is, if there is 100% concentrated energy to it, I tend to love it, and I love doing it myself that way.
Mm,
And trust that simple isn't negative as
that's
long as it's concentrated.
yeah. That's a really lovely way to put it because it's like I don't know. This moves the focus slightly more to the performers rather than like the abstract sounds. I
Mm,
guess. But I definitely notice when music is bothering me, it's often because the musicians seem not fully engaged or seem to be focused on
mm,
something that isn't quite the music. Maybe they're focused on uh,
mm,
looking cool or something, or maybe they're simply distracted. Maybe they're not 100% like committed and yeah, interested in what they're doing, and that can definitely that's often so. If I'm like, oh, I'm not loving this, why is that? That's often an answer
mm,
that pops into my head. So that's yeah,
mm,
that kind of corroborates
mm.
your taste.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, good.
yeah. And I'm sure it's difficult to anyone to have 100% concentration the whole time through, right? But I also love seeing and doing it myself to try to come back to that zone of
Mm,
concentration.
mm,
Because that process is so I just have so much respect to people who do that in
mm,
the moment of performance.
absolutely.
Um, yeah. And seeing my young students who are just literally playing backbeat, 4/4, rock beat,
Mm,
but they can do it for 20 minutes. Out of half an hour lesson, some of my students can do it non-stop for 20 to 25 minutes. And I can't even dare to stop them because they're in it.
that's
And
great.
that 20 minutes will change their musical experience in the childhood, possibly in the future as well. So I'm sitting there, I can't interrupt them going, okay, great, you can do it, let's move on to next topic.
Yeah, yeah. You want to, yeah.
Yeah.
It would be less efficient learning for sure to disrupt that. That's
Mm,
huge, and
mm,
it's also brave of you to let them do that. And I try and do the same. Is like if I do a lot of piano lessons, despite not being amazing at piano, but anyway, they yeah, if they're playing, usually I just
mm,
try not to stop. Like if they're engaged in something that is piano related, I just let it happen.
mm,
Them making music, and that just, especially for the younger ones, like that's just yeah. If they're in it, they're
mm,
clearly learning and learning better than I can construct myself. Kind of thing. Yeah,
mm, mm.
that's huge.
And more and more these days, I learned that actually adults should have that attitude towards practicing and learning as well.
Because if it's
Because
not,
sometimes, yeah, because
fun,
I reckon sometimes we tend to get too abstract, like you mentioned before.
mm,
It's too much of the bubbles. There's a phrase in uh, there's a phrase in Korea where you can't just lick the outer cover of the watermelon. You have to have the inside juice.
what a good phrase.
I know. So I feel like sometimes because we have so much knowledge and experience compared to the when we were a child, we tend to just lick the outside and go, okay, done, next. But no, we've got to cut it. We've got to split it and get the core.
And that, I think you can tell when that's happening, like, and if you let yourself do it, it's so rewarding that you want to do more and more. Like, I feel like a lot of the musicians I know, the reason they can spend a lot of time playing music is because they're doing something that it just becomes so meaningful. Like if you really enter into, like just playing a 4/4 groove, which is kind of, that's about where I'm at with playing drums anyway. So like it can just be so deep to just play that groove for a long time and get right into it and truly, just let yourself, I don't know, wander and express.
Absolutely.
I think I can't remember. It might have been Solly, who had a neighbor who just, I think it was just like once a week, would just play a 4/4 groove on a drum kit for about 2 hours. It would just go. It was like quite good. Like he wasn't sure. I don't know for sure that this was Solly, but they weren't sure that it wasn't like a recording or something, except that it was only drums. Like it was really good playing. It was just going and going. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yes. That person was.
Shout out to Solly. I love his music. I love his playing.
Yeah.
He's so passionate. I think, yes, I see the core focus when he plays. See that? I love.
For sure. He's so playful. Yeah, shout out to Throat Pleats, who put out a new album at the start of the year, which I only just listened to like a few days ago, and it's amazing. I've got a more another question, if you will, which is what are you aiming for in life? Which is a bit like a
Toby.
You can pick multiple things, and it doesn't, you don't have to like get it right this time. Like people are always changing, and anyway. What are you aiming at?
I've been talking about different sort of concerns, about my concerns and my friends' concerns over the past few years, I guess. And I think hurting as less as possible would be my aim. So for an example, hurting myself as less as possible, internally and externally. So externally, I would have to eat healthy and I would have to exercise to keep up a good health. But internally, I will have to protect my heart and emotions and love towards myself and others, so that if I have to hurt someone or something or myself, it has to be as little as possible and as less often as possible. And I think same thing happens interacting with other people, words and actions and thoughts. If it's less hurtful to each other, because sometimes there has to be conversations that is difficult. So we just have to do it. It has to happen. But can we hurt each other less?
Minimal necessary damage. That sort of thing.
That would be. Now it sounds like I'm a very hurtful person or whatever, but I've received so much support and love, and I don't love hating other people. I don't like hurting other people, intentionally or not intentionally. So I guess all these hard work and commitments that I put into music and knowledge development, experience development, is so that at the points of where those intense conversations are necessary, I can hurt myself and others less.
That's really that's a great answer, I think, and a really
Thank you.
honorable aim. And yeah, because it is so hard, especially if you're, conflict tends to be necessary because different people want different things or just see the world differently. And you gotta, you gotta have conversations. And when you have them, it's so easy to get emotional and make mistakes, and probably also necessary. You're never going to do that process perfectly.
That's right. Yes.
But yeah, having that in mind to be like, all right, this is like a necessary conflict. I'm going to go in and do it as well as possible, do as little damage rather than this has to happen. Thrash around and try to get
Absolutely.
it. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, because I think I personally have tendency to try to hurt other people less, and that sometimes leaves some stresses. And if I can't deal with that stresses, that comes to damage me. So then if I can also deal with that level.
Yeah.
You had a very open eyes, Toby, just then.
Yeah, I guess just Alice is very into, she'd probably call it avoiding resentment. That's like one of her big tenets, I would say. And it sounds like a similar thing. It's like, yeah, if you're going to be nice, but then be hurt about it, or be resentful, be like, "Grr, I was so nice to you. Why aren't you being nice to me?" Then there's something that could be improved there, that maybe it would have been worth being a little less nice, a little more like, these are my needs, more expressive of what you need. And then, and I'm the same, I agree. I just got distracted because for some reason the iPad is no longer filming, so I'm just going to start it again. I have an iPad just to get another shot, but we've got.
Oh, great.
But yeah, that is such a good. I think that's just such a. It's so profound or something. It's like, it doesn't make the world nice and simple. It's like, it acknowledges that things are complicated, and I really like that. Did you have more on that?
Yeah, I guess just following to that, being able to be patient when those processes requires repetition or time to allow to sit in. Patient is really important.
So huge, especially I imagine, I mean, we're fairly young, but I imagine if for example, you're in a marriage or something like that, or you've known someone a long time, as the years go on, you probably have to keep having certain like confrontations that are really familiar. You've done this before. It probably gets very tiring, and I think that feels like the time where it's going to get even more like important to just like take a deep breath and be like, eternal struggle. I will keep pushing this rock up the hill. Keep being patient.
I mean, I'm turning 25 this Sunday.
Congrats! Yeah.
Thank you. And I already at some points feel that, whoa, I can't push anymore. Like, being patient, hurting others or myself less, because I go, until when does this gonna end?
Right. Yeah, that's tough.
But just again, being patient, therefore understanding it's actually never going to end. So I've pushed it really well for 25 years. So I've got to do another, 80 years, let's say. Nah, 80.
80. That's good. Over 105. That's good. Yeah, I should be saying the same thing. And yeah, that's so wise to be aiming. Yeah, okay. I've got 80 years to go. Yeah, let's do that. That's really smart. And I think the idea of like trying to minimize resentment is so crucial to that, because it can get so getting very lost in my thoughts. It can very quickly build up if you're too nice to people, if you go too much out. Well, if I go too much out of my way, certainly, for friends or something, and then I feel empty. I get tired out, and I don't want to see those friends again or whatever. And I build, I'm going to build long-term suffering, even if at the short term it's like it's the nice thing to do or whatever. So it gets really complicated, and then that leads to having to learn, which is something I'm like terrible at, but I'm learning. It leads to having to know in yourself at the time of decisions how you're going to feel in the future, that kind of thing. To be like, yes, I can take on this project. I feel like I've got it, or like, no, I can't. Yeah, even if it's like a really small thing. And Alice and I are always, messing up with just little things where we like, oh damn, I took the bins out 2 weeks in a row and now I really wish you would, but I never told you that, or whatever. Like, that's an example. I don't know if that particular one happened, but just little things that at the time just feel like natural, and then afterwards I realized I should have caught myself or something, or maybe I could have looked inside and been like, is this the right action? But it's so hard to tell what the future holds and what my body thinks at the time.
Yeah, absolutely. Ooh.
Good discussion. Good chat.
Yeah. I think we're doing well, Toby.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've done almost 45 minutes. I usually aim at around an hour.
No, sorry, I meant resolving problems and processing things in life.
Oh, true.
I think we're doing well. Yeah.
I agree. Yeah. Learning. And I think, if your aims are good, if you're if you're trying to do well, then hopefully things will go well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's hard to know where to go from like that bigger question. What are your aims in life? But I want to know about your dreams. Do you have dreams for the future? I guess you'll finish your degree after this year, and then what sorts of things can you imagine occurring in Chloe's world?
Yeah. Well, if I could continue managing to live like we've discussed so far, so being patient and loving and less hurting, and I have faith in a higher. So I am praying. I have time to myself to pray and read Bibles. So those always refresh my. Well, not it refreshes my core.
Right.
And sorry, we went frozen a little bit.
Yeah, you're frozen too, but I can hear you loud and clear.
There you go. Yeah, I can see you too. So I guess there's a limit to what I can do, I think. And I am doing my very best. Not every day. There are times where I can't do, but
that's
when
a great
I can.
thing to know. Like, be able to tell. That's been a huge thing for me in the last few years, is being able to tell, am I really doing my best, or am I like telling myself I'm doing the best, but really there are some things being or whatever. So that's a huge, that's great to, I don't know, I believe you when you say I'm doing my best. I think she is. Yeah.
But so continuing that would be my dream. As a musician.
Oh, sorry, you've cut out for a sec. Do you mind repeating that sentence?
Yep. Of course, yes. I would, as a musician, love to continue practicing every day. And playing, performing as a musician. But I also love teaching. I want to provide some advice and support to those who need it. So, and just staying healthy and eating well and having many friends that I share food and conversation with. That would be my dream.
So lovely. It's quite a humble dream, you know. It's very achievable. I think.
Yes, yes,
Nothing, no
absolutely.
like catastrophes happen. I think that's extremely.
Mm,
Yeah, that's
mm.
lovely.
Yeah, but I also have definitely like ambitions as a musician. Like
Mm,
there are things I want to achieve, such as, releasing album, achieving these awards, or getting to know very well established musicians based in different countries.
do you have
Um,
any particular awards, particular musicians you want to mention? No, maybe not.
well, I've been
Yeah,
very, yeah, no, that's all right. I have been doing this mutual mentorship for musicians program.
I saw something about that. Yeah, go on.
Mm, it has been started by Jen Shu, a multi-instrumentalist and vocalist based in New York, who created this thing called mentorship for musicians. Um, and it's mostly for female and non-binary people to gather for 6 months and share each other's stories and experience. Um, and I applied for it, being ambitious, knowing that I have stories that I want to share, and I want to hear stories from people outside of Australia because I don't get enough opportunities to do that. And those things, I believe, will keep my momentum happening as a freelance musician.
Mm.
So that's why I applied for it. I was very fortunate to get this opportunity. And every 2 weeks, I have to wake up at 5 a.m. to do this meeting because the time zones are crazy different. Um, and I love it. They're so supportive, and showing my music to them, I receive so much positive feedback
Wow,
that gives me another assurance that, okay, what I'm doing is quite clear to not only me, but other people. So I can continue.
that's huge. Yeah, it's funny
Mm.
how I think for a long time I sort of thought that, and to an extent feels still true, but that all your creative, or my creative endeavors at least, should be motivated by me and should be so important that even if there was no one else in the world, I would still want to do them. But like they're kind of for all the other people in the world as well, like a creative product is usually made for like so other people can enjoy it too. And then
Mm.
I just noticed the more positive feedback I get from friends and stuff, the more I show friends and they like it. That's just such a huge
Mm.
factor in making
Mm.
more stuff like that. And I think it should be.
Yes, yes. And I think by receiving those, I have more um, understanding how positive they are. Therefore, I also, I believe you as well, we can provide backwards as well
Mm,
to people.
yeah,
So that's a contribution.
absolutely. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah, and yeah, I love. I used to stress a lot about the value of art and that kind of thing because it's not obvious how like someone doing a painting can, I don't know, provide a homeless person with a home or something like that. It's not that
Mm.
clear and simple. Whereas, if you're working in a non-for-profit providing homes for the homeless, that's how you're providing homes for the homeless. It's really clear that you're doing something good.
Yes.
But yeah, I think it's just it's become very obvious to me the way that indirectly
Mm.
artists are just creating goodness for people everywhere all the time, or just like
Mm.
yeah, music is like essential to many. Like many people would say that music had saved their life at one time or another. And
Mm.
yeah, there's
Mm.
examples, or scientists who love art and who get inspired by art can then go on with their inspiration to invent a life-saving drug or whatever. And so we get to,
Mm.
well, sorry, yeah, that's kind of a tangent, but I just
No.
like repeating it wherever I can because I've met musicians who who will say something like, oh yeah, I just try and not think about the ethics of what I'm doing because I know that really I should be like a doctor or something. And I just, you know, I feel like that's not true. Like if you love making art, you'd probably be making art, because if you were a doctor, you'd probably be miserable and not, and be spreading misery, you know? Yeah.
Oh no, yeah. I
don't want to be a miserable doctor if you could be.
That's right. Yeah, Toby, I had this non-government organization called Compassion that I've been working for when I was a teenage. So I wasn't like paid worker, but I was a volunteer, and I was very happy to do that. And it was one of the core place that helped me to become an independent and strong adult. And when I was doing a lot of volunteering work there, I knew, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to work for this organization, if not this place, anywhere else, because I thought I was very strong and good at it. And I'm sure I was for my age. But the more I was practicing drums and getting into the con and getting offered to do these performance gigs and receiving feedbacks, I realized not only I love it, therefore I can continue doing it, but I must be good at it. Not good at drumming, but good at processing it. So yes, I totally agree. If I was working for the organization, I'm sure I would be decent at it, but I'm not sure. I doubt that I will love it every single day passionately as much as I do with drumming. So then, you know, I've got only 80 more years to go from now, so may as well spend more time drumming.
Totally.
Because I'm already established, rather than...
Yeah.
That's what I think at this stage, but I might change my thoughts in the future.
And you're welcome.
So we'll see.
I think that's one of the exciting things about artists in particular is we seem to, the creative people seem to want to keep changing directions and exploring new things. And so I recently heard about someone who was in I won't mention the band name just because I don't know, but was in a very famous band. And then it was the lead singer. A friend of mine just found out that he was working as a lawyer. He'd gone through years of degrees and after being in a famous band for, I don't know, a decade or so, decided to become a lawyer. That's what they're doing now. And they seem to be happy. So that really struck me because I haven't heard of that. Most old artists I know are still artists of some sort, and they've been doing, But that was a really, wow, something. I don't think I want to do that, but who knows? Maybe when I'm 8.
My beautiful friends, I will mention their name because I'm proud of them. So Matt Harris, a pianist that I've been always playing with, he's going to do math degrees from this year. So I'm really excited for him to do that. And my friend Nick Milchark is starting architecture degree, and I'm so excited for that.
Yeah, that's cute. Yeah.
So
I talked to Linus.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, Linus Foley, who's doing a computer science? Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So I think it's amazing that knowing how beautiful musician and artist and therefore person they are, I just have full trust that whatever they end up doing, they're going to do it really well.
Totally. Yeah. I've also found, because I started doing this psychology degree this last year, and for me, it's now become clear, I think, that doing it is better for me as an artist than not doing it, because it's quite hard and takes up a lot of time. It's also so inspiring, and I can't spend all of my time being an artist or like being creative and or working in some way towards like my creative career or something. There are hours that I got to spend some other way or I'll go crazy. And so it's actually fantastic to have some of that time filled up with inspiring sort of disciplined work that is just this other thing, other world, I guess.
Yes.
It's quite refreshing.
Absolutely, yeah. I think that's why I started doing the painting again. I used to do it when I was young,
Great,
but
yeah. I've still got
thank you.
saved to my computer that I haven't used for album art yet. So good.
No, you're welcome to use it at any point. Yeah, but since understanding that I have some knowledge in figuring out stuff on drum kit, I think it has been helping me with many other disciplines, like you mentioned. Say language, like I've been able to speak more fluently in English, which I'm very glad about.
Yeah, you're a great speaker.
Yeah, thank you. And painting, like sticking with one idea, or expanding ideas but using a few constraints. Those things that I experienced on a drum kit, I realized it is translatable and applicable in different disciplines.
Wow. It was fun. Well, we've done 57 minutes. I feel like this is kind of a nice place to end. Is there any last sort of things you want to, for example, tell anyone who watches this, your website and that sort of thing, or any upcoming gigs, or just, any final thoughts about what we've talked about? We've covered some great ground, and this personally felt like the best podcast we've done so far. Like I got the most goosebumps and stuff. I'm done. But yeah, I really felt like this went very well. So I got to thank you very much. Yeah.
No, thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited for this podcast to continue expanding. I think, it's a very tough world, and I'm surprised how many thoughtful people there are in the world. So there are always things to learn, there are always things to develop, and there are always things to love. So if we can just do it in a healthy way and eat well and sleep well. I'm like emphasizing eating well because I love eating.
It's so important. My life changed from it, I would say. And sleeping. Sleeping's like, I don't think I slept enough till about 2 years ago. I just didn't. Sleep deprived. And now my life is way better. My memory's better. Everything's better.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah. See, and if we can get external and internal help, and also provide vice versa, external help and internal help to ourselves, difficult things will be resolved and happy things will continue happening. And when you feel like listening to drum music, you can check out my website. It's chloekimdrums.com. I've got a new solo drum album coming up.
Woo!
Yeah, mid this year. And a few other bands' new album that I am in.
Ooh. Which ones will what are they?
Yes, I have a new band called Sand Castles with a beautiful saxophonist Hinano and a guitarist Harley.
Wow. Can't wait.
We played Hinano and Harley's composition and recorded an album, and it's now being processed to be released. So that's really exciting.
Yeah.
And Hollow Peak also recorded our second album.
Wow. I can't wait for that.
Yeah. It's going to be really good. I think Hollow Peak album is definitely very special because it's coming out of like a dark COVID time to us still being together, making music together, and presenting some new aspects, but still similar energy that we've been always having. So
that's an exciting upcoming year for sure. Cool. I guess we'll finish it there.
Sounds good, Toby.
Thanks so much.
Thank you so much.
Welcome.
No, thank you for having me.
It was so much fun. I'm just going to say, so I don't have to record this later, but like and subscribe in the
Yes, Toby is an amazing and inspiring musician and artist and friend himself, so it's worth subscribing whatever his work is.
Yeah. Likewise with Chloe. Thank you so much for this. See you some other time.
See you on Sunday.
Yeah, exactly. I can't wait. It's going to be a big day. Cool. Well, yeah. Yes. Yeah. See you on Sunday. Anything else to say? I hope this was fun.
Yes, it was so much fun. It was very nice to talk about things.
Yeah, I feel like we haven't had that deeper chat just as friends before, so it was really like
absolutely. Yeah.
Cool. I better go.
Yes. Have a good day.
You too. Yeah. Have a lovely day. Lovely. 4 days. 5 days.
4 days. Yeah.
Yeah. Bye.
All right. Bye-bye.